Hi everyone, my name is Catie Spivey. I am a senior in mechanical engineering at Portland State University, and I have done work with the Portland State Aerospace Society in the past, so working on our CubeSat, and now I'm going to be working on our Launch Vehicle 4 rocket, which is part of the Base 11 Space Challenge. And I am interested in doing mechanical engineering for aircraft structure, so specifically launch vehicles. Just anything that goes into space is really interesting to me, and so the design and some of the testing and analysis is what I'm really interested in. Aerospace itself, I didn't learn about until I think middle school, when I went to the local community college had a space camp where they had astronautics and aeronautics, and so I did the astronautics side, and I was in Florida, so I got to go see a space shuttle launch back in the day, which was amazing, from Kennedy Space Center. But before that, I knew that I was interested in space and engineering, specifically from watching Dexter's Lab on Cartoon Network is what got me interested in engineering. And it wasn't until middle school where I learned the word aerospace engineering, and that's what I wanted to do.
Hello, my name is Nic. I am a junior at Portland State University and I'm studying mathematics and physics. I joined PSAS just this year at the Portland State Aerospace Society, and mostly I've been involved with the Women in Aerospace portion of the student group and learning about STEM outreach and participating in events like this, or trying to create them, I suppose. I actually didn't know that much about the aerospace industry in general until just this year. Before this point, I always thought space was amazing and super cool, but I had no idea what types of jobs were related to it. And then I happened to get interested in it because I started watching Cosmos around this time last year, and that sparked my interest in learning about the universe and space and how amazing physics and science and math is in regards to that field. And then eventually I was able to find our Aerospace Society through a mutual friend who told me about the group. And so now I'm just kind of on that journey of discovering what aspects of the industry and of the field I'm really interested in. Even though there's just so much to learn, I really have no idea exactly what I want to do yet, but I'm very interested in like thermodynamics and energy and potentially like studying propulsion at some point. So, yeah.
Hi, I'm Kara Gaiser, and I am a junior in high school at Oregon Episcopal School. I joined PSAS, the Portland State Aerospace Society, this year as well, and I've had a blast with it. I've loved being a part of ORSAT, as well as the Portland State Aerospace Society's business team, and doing a lot of the businessy behind-the-scenes work. And then I've also been a part of Women in Aerospace, which I remember doing this. I've also been involved with my school's aerospace team. I lead that this year, and I also do my own personal research in astrobiology. So my dad was really interested in it as a kid, so whenever he grew up to be an engineer, and he's kind of had that interest with him throughout his entire life and passed it down to me at a very young age. So I was exposed to a lot of news that was in the aerospace industry and various topics since I was really young. And it was always something that really fascinated me. And I just wanted to learn more about everything since probably lower school. And I first got into really engineering and programming, which is kind of my first touch into the aerospace industry at a young age as well. So I've kind of just loved it my entire life.
I started the group, and really what happened was back in, I think, February, Portland State has a award for women in engineering. The person who got the award this year in early 2020, she worked under Obama and was talking a little bit about like how astronaut suits are made for men. And so hearing her talk was really inspiring, and I knew that I wanted to start something at Portland State that could provide a community for people like me, just separate from the Aerospace Society that we have, because we have just pretty much the two missions, which are rockets and satellites. I knew that there was a big interest in like astrobiology and geology and all this stuff that we weren't covering under rockets and satellites. Also, many times I am the only non-male in a room, now in a Zoom room. And so I wanted to start a group where I could just connect with people like me and kind of talk through some of the things that I was feeling and just have that community. So I approached Andrew Greenberg and said, hey, can I start this? And he said, yeah, go ahead. And then I just kind of started recruiting people the best that I could. So yeah.
I saw Catie and some other folks from the group that were women, like Kathleen and some other people who were telling me about how awesome the group was. And then once we transitioned to online for like doing Zoom rooms rather than in person due to like COVID, I was trying to find ways to get connected, but I was finding it very difficult to really jump into projects like the satellites and rockets, since I don't have very much knowledge and I'm very new to the field. It all just felt very much like jumping into the deep end. I didn't really understand a lot of what was happening. So I wanted to find a way that I could really start connecting with people and have like more conversations and feel like I could contribute a bit more while I'm still in the learning process, which is when some people told me about how Catie was starting WIA. And from there, I just reached out to Catie and asked if there's a way for me to get more involved. And now here I am. So now I'm helping with by being the STEM outreach coordinator and helping with just connecting with people in the community. And yeah, it's been a great way to just get involved and meet other people and help get exposed more to what the club does.
I joined the Portland State Aerospace Society as a whole a couple months ago, and I ended up joining for a general orientation meeting, and I loved it. I heard about WIA that night, and I heard there was going to be a meeting that upcoming Wednesday, and I've just been involved ever since. And I've always been interested in STEM outreach and getting other women involved with STEM and helping other people like me who are very into technology and really anything, just to get through the field and kind of create that sense of community for people.
I really tried to bring in people from the industry to come and talk, not only on what they do, because you can usually get that from like a Google search, but their kind of path to where they are now. So specifically trying to bring in women from the industry, just to say like what they did and what it's been like for them to again kind of build on that community, but also have kind of the professional development where we can reach out to them and ask them for advice. Also trying to give back to the community in the same way. So reaching out like we are with this event to high schoolers and any age, and also community colleges as well, and showing everyone, as we say, like you can find your place in space, realizing that it's not just the K through 12 STEM pipeline, but also people of all ages from all schools, non-traditional students. And I really want to kind of bring them out as well and help them find their place.
Personally, I feel like I've gotten a lot from this already, from the sense of community, as well as just having a way to contribute and, like Catie said, give back to the community. Like whenever I was in high school or even in community college, I wish I had the opportunity to hear about things like careers in space and the variety of opportunities that are out there. And since I didn't get that opportunity, I really hope that we can like take that and provide opportunities like this career day for kids in our area or even farther, depending on how much more we do, which I hope a lot more. This is just the beginning for us. So just, yeah, giving that back to the community is a really big deal for me personally.
As a high school student, I am one of the few, so I had the fear of being a little bit left out because of that, and that was definitely not the case, and I'm very, very happy with how that's all turned out. And I want to kind of spread awareness to other people my age, other people still in high school, going through the same things as me. Let them know that you can put yourself out there and like what opportunities are out there for the aerospace industry, for STEM fields in general, and give other high schoolers a sense of motivation to, yeah, get there.
I've done the Strengths Quest strengths assessment, and so I definitely recommend that for everyone. So I know personally that my strengths are adaptability and responsibility are kind of the big two for me. So with that, I'm kind of open to the stuff that comes with planning, just being available and recognizing that things probably aren't going to go the way that you think that they will. So just being ready to change things and go with the flow. And then also responsibility. This term was crazy, where I had 16 credits, but I did try my best. But so trying to do anything, but also delegating as well, because I think when we first took this on, we didn't have a STEM outreach coordinator, and I knew that it would be a crazy term for me, but I wanted to do this. So I approached Nic and said, hey, do you want to take this on? And if so, like, I'll give it to you. Just tell me what you need from me. So recognizing like my strengths, but also like anything with where I might be weak on, which for me was time this term, and realize that I didn't have to do it all myself, and having to give someone the opportunity like Nic to have that leadership role, which she's done great in.
So yeah, so for to say for both Catie and for Kara, for Catie, I would say she's been such a great leader, even though like technically I'm the STEM outreach coordinator and I've been kind of like the head of the project in a sense. I feel like Catie has been an awesome person to go to and reference for like questions on how she's done things, that she has a little bit more experience in this sort of stuff than I do. But I feel like she's done such a great job of just kind of like giving me a little bit of guidance and letting me like have free reign of doing what I need to do. She's also amazing at communicating internally with PSAS, and she has a lot of connections already, and like people already know who she is. It's been very helpful on that end. Kara has been amazing behind the scenes with doing things like creative social media posts, helping with any sort of like behind the scenes sort of action. She's crushing it. And it's making me really thankful too, because like Catie, this term has been really crazy and hectic for me. So being able to know that all of us are kind of helping each other out and taking turns taking on responsibility and tasks has been so helpful. So I feel like I have been learning a lot about delegating tasks and learning how to communicate needs. Like if something comes up for me and I can't do something, really communicating that from person to person has been something that I'm really proud that I've been working on during this process. But yeah, we're such a good team, I would say. So I'm really proud of how far we've come and how much we've accomplished with just the three of us.
Yeah, I would definitely have to agree. We've accomplished so much even just in the past couple months, and that wouldn't have happened without you guys, really. And Catie, you're such an amazing leader, and you your project management skills are honestly really inspiring to me, and I've caught on to a lot of that. So yeah, that's amazing. And then Nic, you are so incredibly kind, and you are just so flexible, and that's helped with, I think, the entirety of this project, because we all are on our own schedules. I have responsibilities, you all have responsibilities, and I think that in a way kind of balances everything out, because we are on our own schedules and we're able to conquer certain things at certain times. We're able to ask each other for help, and that's always a good thing to do whenever in a team project like this. So.
In school, I am in 16 credits in my senior year, so that's crazy, and planning out my capstone, my senior project, And then beyond classwork and beyond WIA, I also, and PSAS, I just finished being director of rituals for Delta Gamma, so I'm in a sorority, and then I also am an ambassador for the College of Engineering at Portland State. So I planned and did a panel for the students, and I do tours and things like that. And then beyond that, I am going to get my master's next year. So this term has been planning out all the logistics of that, and getting my own apartment and going to get my master's and how I will do that. As well as planning out my internship for this coming summer. So I'm a finalist for the Brooke Owens Fellowship. So all of the planning and interviewing that goes along with that as well. So very busy term for me.
So classes wise, I'm taking 3 classes, 2 of which are some of my first like higher level mathematical courses for my major, which is super exciting, but also very intensive. And then I'm also taking my first physics with calculus class, which has been a blast, but also very fast paced. So between all those 3 classes, it's been kind of a juggle, like I'm juggling act in order to get all the assignments done and really make sure that I'm learning and understanding everything that I'm having to take in, because it is a lot of content at a higher level than I'm used to. And it will be important for future classes that I really fully understand what I'm learning. And typically, I feel like I'm a pretty good student. I'm usually straight A's, and I feel really good about the content that I take. But this has been a very unique term for me in the sense of like the mix between the types of classes, the load of classes I'm currently taking with just like mental health with the pandemic and being stuck at home, and like taking online classes versus in-person classes has been a huge challenge for me personally. Uh, it's been a lot harder for me to like ask for help or get involved in my classes than what it usually is. So that's presented some particular challenges that I have not typically had in each term. So on top of that, I do also work a job, but I'm really grateful that my job's very flexible right now and letting me take off time as I need it. But I still have to get a certain amount of hours a week. And then outside of that, working with WIA, I've been trying to put in a lot of hours with like helping contact schools and planning everything. I just finished reaching out to over 100 schools in the Oregon area, which is awesome. I'm so proud of that and excited to see how many schools we get students from. But yeah, and on top of that, I also live with my family, so I have like some responsibilities with helping my younger sisters and my parents out when I'm needed. But yeah, that's kind of the general idea of what my life looks like.
So for me, this is definitely my busiest year. Starting at the start of summer, joining PSAS and everything was really life-changing, and I've loved doing it outside of school. For school, I'm taking 8 classes. I am also a Western Aerospace scholar, so I'm in that program, and I'm doing a college class through the University of Washington. So there's that. And I'm also doing a couple other college classes on the side. I started with one over the summer where I got my certification in biochemistry from Harvard, which was a really big step towards where I am now. And I am managing my science research project, which, as mentioned earlier, is in astrobiology, and that's at its like peak moment right now. And I got a lot of things going on with that. Yeah, I'm managing the aerospace team at my school as well, so there's that going on. And being online has had its pros and cons. I have more time in a way because I don't have to be transporting to the campus and everything, and so it saves some time. But like it's hard to be at home and stay motivated at home for me. I'm a person who is very motivated when being on campus and being around other people. So it's been a little bit difficult this semester, I'd say, just not being able to be in person. But I've been helping my brother with school, and yeah, it's been a crazy year so far.
For me, I mean, I knew that I was interested in space, mostly based on when I go outside and I look at the stars. I think there's like a certain feeling that maybe everyone gets, maybe only some people, I don't know. But I was really interested in like what is out there. And I still have that feeling to this day, but I also get that feeling when I see a rocket launch. And if anyone ever has the opportunity to go to Kennedy Space Center, they play this really cheesy, like Star Trek music kind of thing. And you sit in this room and they pretend to have the moon landing. And it's like really cheesy. I think it's probably like 30 years old at this point. And I still get the same feeling. I've gone like 2 or 3 times, and it's the same feeling in every instance. So for me, it's just that excitement of like, doing something that hasn't been done before, and also furthering humanity, so sending people into space, but to learn about the universe in some way, shape, or form. So I think if you have that willingness and curiosity, you want to learn more and you want to find out about the universe, no matter what that might look like, if you get that same feeling by looking at the stars, I think that's all you need to get started.
Yeah, for me, in a very similar sense, it's just that sense of wonder and curiosity about everything in the universe and the world, and like what we're capable of and how we know and understand certain things in regards to math or physics or whatever. Like that's what really drew me into math and physics, is finding ways to really be able to explain and like classify different, like everything that surrounds us and like the nature of the universe or our world. It that just blows my mind. It blows my mind that we as humans are able to look at something and study it and be able to like actually write out or tangibly view and understand how things work. And that just blows my mind. So that mixed with the universe as a whole and exploration, and like since I'm still trying to discover what exactly I want to do or where my interests truly lie, it's kind of an exciting time. At first, I was nervous because I felt like I didn't really know much going into it, but I very quickly realized that that's not a bad thing. It's a really exciting place to be because it's like my journey is just beginning. I'm constantly, every day, every time that I'm a part of an event or listening to a speaker or learning something new in class or outside of class, it's like my little mind is finally like getting to see all these little bits and pieces of the world and the universe all start to come together a little bit, and seeing how things are connected and interact, and how we can actually influence that by putting in the work or like studying is really incredible. So for me, that's what really draws it in. You don't have to know anything at all about anything. As long as you're curious, you want to learn, and you're interested, you can learn amazing things and contribute.
I've always been very curious about just kind of what's out there, and the amount of what we do know is so incomparable to the amount of what we don't know, and that alone is really, really fascinating to me. And I guess I've always wanted to contribute to some of those findings of the things that we have no idea about right now. And yeah, I mean, just having that curiosity and finding something you're curious in and towards your growth as a person. And uh, it's really changed how I see the world, how I see my future. And yeah, I've just been always really curious about how us humans, life life form, is able to kind of go out of our own little bubble and explore what's out there. And it's just really, really fascinating to me.
At my old university, something that I'm not proud of, but I really struggled at my old university and my grades really slipped. And I was studying aerospace engineering. That was my major. And some of the professors and advisors were like, maybe engineering isn't for you. And Yeah. So really long story short, I'm now at Portland State and my GPA is over 3.5 out of a 4.0. So it's good for those of you in high school. And so, in mechanical engineering, so sometimes it's not about like what is going on like in your head, whether you're like mentally capable or whatever, if you're smart, whatever you want to call it. Sometimes it's about just finding the right environment and finding the right time in your life and the right motivators. Because, in high school, my first high school math classes, I wasn't that great. I didn't care. And then in college, when I found the motivation and I actually started to like the math classes, I got an A in linear analysis, so which is like past all calculus. So it just depends on what is motivating you. Just don't let people box you in and tell you that, well, you didn't do well in this math class, so you can't do math for the rest of your life. Like that doesn't work that way. It just depends on how hard you want it. So
I definitely have kind of a similar experience. I had gotten good grades in my class, nothing to be concerned about, and I was a pretty good student. But after graduating high school and starting community college, I had someone in my life that was very important to me and that I weighed their perspective a lot on me and like my future and stuff. And that person used to tell me constantly that I was bad at math, like make fun of me for being bad at math and just constantly say like really mean things that like I don't think they realized how much it really ingrained itself in my mind and impacted me. But and it was because that person was very naturally good at math in the sense that they could do it in their head very easily, very quickly, much more in comparison to me. Like for me, I was good at math for like if I studied it and if I like took the time to learn and understand it. But when it came to just like doing math in my head, I was never good at that. Like it did not come as naturally or easily for me. So for years, I really believed that I was terrible at math, and I started to hate it because I thought that I was bad at it, even though I had no proof that I was actually bad at it. Just that I wasn't as fast in my mind for at that time. And then, sure enough, a couple of years later, after trying and exploring some different majors and some classes, I really found that I actually love math. It's such a beautiful subject, and it's so much more than just doing quick calculations in your mind. There's a lot behind just how intricate it is and how it's connected to so many different things that even if you are naturally good at it doesn't mean that you can't learn it or understand it. And like Catie said, it doesn't really matter if you like fail in one class or one thing at some point in time. That doesn't mean that you're incapable of learning it or understanding it or enjoying it. So that was definitely a big wake up call for me, was realizing, oh, like this whole time I had this lie in my head about like limiting me from what I thought I was capable of, when in reality that was completely ridiculous and not actually accurate. So yeah, that was a time for me, I would say.
My 8th grade year, I had a really toxic friend group, and I didn't realize it until that time. Throughout middle school, I was kind of in this with around the same group of people, and we had a lot of experiences together, and we made a lot of memories together. And some of us were even like friends longer than that. So they were really close to me. And I guess I never would have expected that I would like reach to the point where they would be mean to me in a way. That was the year where I started to say no to things, where I started to be more independent, where I started to say like, no, I'm not gonna go somewhere, or when I need to study, when I had a test the next day, or I started to focus on my health and focus on me and prioritizing that over other things, because mentally it was a really hard year and I needed that. And as with them being my closest friends and really my only friends at the school that time, I didn't really have anyone else, and I kind of focused on them and expected them to support me, but in the end they didn't, which was really, really difficult. And I just had to persevere, and that was a time that was really hard to kind of wrap around, the fact that some of your closest people could some of the closest people to you could be so not supportive, and some people you thought you'd be friends with for the rest of your life ended up not. And but I think it's good to go through those things. It's a great learning experience in life, and you're able to kind of find and pick people who really support you. So, and that's important.
So I would say trying to reach out and find younger folks or people who are connected in like schools or whatever it may be, like STEM related, kind of like us as a group. I'm sure a lot of universities have different levels of connection or clubs within them. So if folks who are a bit more advanced in the industry could partner with people who have that connection with a younger crowd or with a crowd of people who don't have much experience or knowledge yet. I think making those connections and partnerships is very important, because then you could kind of have a person who's helping communicate both ways and kind of the middleman basically. And I think by doing that, you'll naturally end up getting more people involved who will continue to pass that down. Like my thought also is even just like Kara is a great example of that. As a high school student, she's a great bridge between us and high school students, because even though Catie and I aren't that far away from having been in high school, it's still like enough of a gap that, it's nice to have a perspective of a current high school student who is in that current environment and has that mindset, who can help us be the most effective about reaching out to that specific crowd. And I think similarly, if people in the industry, whether it be within a company, an organization, whatever it might be, I think just finding those connections and finding advocates that are within the age range or the area of that group of people they're trying to connect with is extremely important.
I'll have to agree with Nic on this one. One of the reasons why I got into STEM is because I wanted to spread more awareness to people my age, that people my age are able to do these things, and that you're not limited to your own high school. I think that's a really important thing for high schoolers right now, is that it can seem very isolating, and it could seem very a very small, it's a very small environment right now, and you're not being in person is really hard when it comes to communication. And having these opportunities and knowing that they exist in the first place is a really, really important thing. And spreading awareness for that is one of the biggest reasons why I'm doing this. For high school students, college applications are happening. Everyone's kind of trying to figure out what they might want to do in the future, figuring out what they might want to do now in order to prepare for that. And with everything being online, that can be limiting. And yeah, just spreading awareness to people who are younger. Middle school age is really, I'd say, is a really, really good group to spread to as well, because they're kind of in that middle stage where they're trying to figure themselves out, trying to figure out their hobbies, trying to figure out their interests. And it's a really, really amazing age range to spread awareness to, especially for the future of STEM and technology.
When you're trying to recruit people, if you're only posting on your social media, you're only doing outreach to people that already know about you. So I think what Nic was saying about partnering with other organizations, especially organizations that are not like your industry, because, like we can partner with like in another engineering group like Girls Inc., which is great because then we're reaching more people. But if we really want to reach people who don't think that they can be in engineering and show them that they can, then we need to partner with a group like Girl Scouts that we did, that covers something that isn't just engineering. So reaching out to the organizations that are maybe cultural, which I've been trying to do on campus, and so that you're really reaching out to people that have different backgrounds and different interests and showing like, hey, you can find your home here. So you're not just preaching to the choir basically, because if you're talking to people who are already interested in aerospace, then you're not really gaining any increase of an audience. So
diversity and inclusion is a really, really important thing, no matter what area you're going into or what area you are into. I think I try to make a big emphasis on understanding and making sure that people have their voices heard and people feel comfortable, because overall that the work environment is just as important as the work itself. And um, being at a school that is an international school, so we have dorm students. I have a lot of friends from around the globe, and having those connections have changed my life. And being able to talk to people with different cultural backgrounds, with different ethnic backgrounds, with um, various experiences that are way unlike my own is such an important thing. And in STEM, um, in general, having that diversity of experiences and backgrounds is really important when you want to make when you're reaching a goal, because you're trying to collaborate with everyone. You need as much experience as possible. You need as many perspectives as possible, and in turn, that will produce the most successful ending product. And um, having a sense of community is extremely, extremely important. And I want to try and make that doable wherever I go.
I think that one of the ways that we are trying to take that into consideration and also hopefully like promote that and inspire that is through our speakers that we choose, and trying to choose, like, take that into account when we are choosing speakers or reaching out to folks in the industry, like trying to find representation, people with different cultural backgrounds from around the world, different races, genders, all that sort of stuff. I think that's extremely important for us to do. And since all of us do have certain aspects of privilege and are where we are with our ability, I think it's extremely important for us to find ways to advocate and give voices to the people in the industry who are bringing that diversity to the group. And my hope is that as we continue to represent that and show that, our diversity within our own group will continue to grow, and we'll be able to just like have that cycle continue going.
Like myself, as a white woman, I am privileged in that way. And I have heard people of color saying that, so many times they're the ones that have to do that work. And many times it's unpaid additional work to recruit people that look like them for whatever reason. And so, like Nic said, it's important for us to give them a voice, but also recognize that like some of the work we have to do to give them that voice. And it's work that we have to do every day to make a more inclusive environment.
So for me, like automatically what jumps to my mind is something that I've learned about myself is that having a lack of structure within my life and within my studies is really a large obstacle for me. Because in the past, I was so used to having such a good structure to my day and like where I was going, what I was doing, that I never really had to think about that. And I just felt like I was always very productive. But at this point in time, having to actually like be intentional about how I plan things, how I structure my time, and time management, project management skills, all of that has come very much into play with not only this term but also planning this event. So that's something I've been learning a lot about myself, is that as much as I would like to think that I'm strong in organizational and planning skills, it really differs based off of the situation and where I'm at in life and what kind of is involved in that. So that's something I'm learning a lot about myself and that I'm working on, is improving those skills during these times.
I think another thing for me personally is not just time management. Right now, a lot of things are up in the air, and time management can be a little bit unpredictable. So I guess also going with the flow and just kind of relaxing and knowing where my boundaries of stress is extremely important, and it's something I'm still exploring and I'm still trying to find out. I have a lot of things going on, a lot of responsibilities, and I think being able to manage that at a point where it is healthy for you is extremely important, and it's something that I have had trouble with in the past before, and it's something I'm doing a lot better with now, but there's always room for improvement. So
for me, I have a very short attention span. And this is something that it took me a while to realize about myself and to realize how to use that to my advantage. So I know that in lectures, my attention isn't always fully there. And so one way that I've gotten around that is if it's a live lecture that won't be recorded, then I have both of my feet flat on the ground and I take as many notes as possible just to make sure that I'm really present. But if it's something that my attention just goes, or if it's like recorded, then I kind of have some different things to work around that. So with recordings, if the notes are posted, I'll write all the notes ahead of time and then go back at 1.5 times speed, which is what my brain works at, a very fast thinker, and do it that way. So if you think slower, then you can do it on like half speed. So finding out like what works for you. So for me, just doing like the notes, and then also recognizing that because my attention span is so short, I like to work on things in chunks. And I know people are like, oh, well, multitasking is bad. So for me, it's like I will say, okay, I'm going to read this amount of pages and I'll go until like 7 p.m. and then I'll do something else. And it just is what works for me. So I think if anyone has like a little attention span issues, finding like how to break things down into manageable chunks so that you don't get bored, because then if you get bored, then your attention is going to be gone and you're not going to care. So make it interesting for you.
The first item would be the book Contact by Carl Sagan, because that has been like one of my favorite things. I'm not done reading it yet, but I am already loving it. And like, yeah, it's amazing. It's already my favorite book and I haven't even finished it yet. So that, because I find it very inspiring and I just love sci-fi, like reading about that and pairing that with space exploration. I think a lot of people feel the same way, so I don't really need to explain myself, but that, one item's gonna be a little cheesy. The person that I've been seeing created this adorable scrapbook for me for my birthday, of like a road trip that we went on. So I would take that with me because that's like one of my favorite like sentimental items that I own. And then my other item, assuming that I literally can't take anything else, I'm taking my toothbrush because I cannot stand the feeling of not having brushed teeth. So yes.
I would probably say something coffee related would be great. I love coffee, and I my family does. It's kind of something. It not only reminds me of my family, but like it's just something I just love. Another thing would probably be I have a lot of pictures of just my friends and I. I've recently got a smaller Polaroid printer for motivational purposes. I feel like that would be something I would bring. And another thing would probably be some sort of complete like distraction from what's going on, whether it is a book that I'm really into or a game or something. I don't know. I Contact as well is an amazing book. I definitely recommend it. And the movie is also amazing. I saw it recently, and that was for the first time actually, and it was like it was amazing. And yeah, probably just something to distract me from various things, or even just a book that I've just loved from the past. I've grew up with the Harry Potter series, so honestly, just reading anything would be perfect.
I have no idea. Probably slipper socks because my feet get cold. Oh, probably a sketchbook and some sketch pencils because that can keep me busy. Probably a camera because I like photography. So that would be my 3.
I just want to say to anyone who is coming to the event or is interested in aerospace that it does not matter how much you currently know. It doesn't matter what your background is. And it also doesn't matter like whether you know what you want to do or not. Like either way, there is so much room to grow, so many new things to learn, and so many opportunities out there that, regardless of where you want to go, what you're interested in, or what sparks your curiosity, there's absolutely room for you in the space industry. Just go for it.
Especially during this time, making sure that you take care of yourself. Just a reminder to make sure and um, make some time for yourself and your own needs, because right now, with the world being really stressful and school being on top of that and everything, that is extremely important.
Yeah, I would just add to talk to people, reach out to anyone and everyone that you can for whatever reason. So if you're struggling in school, find someone. If you are interested in being an engineer, find someone in the industry. If you're interested in being a doctor, I don't know, find someone, like whatever is on your mind, find someone that you can talk to about it, especially if it's like something that you are interested in going to college or becoming something. Find someone who's doing that and just email them and say, hey, I'm really interested in learning more. This is what I know. Would you be willing to talk to me? Reach out to us, reach out to anyone that you can find, and not everyone will respond, but that's the worst that can happen. People aren't going to be like, don't message me. They're just not going to respond. So, but many times people are willing to talk to you and help you out and share with you their journey. So please do that just so that you can connect with someone and have some help no matter where you are.